The college football playoff expansion, man, that's a lot to say. At the end of the 2024 season, the schedule has been released. We're going to talk about that in just a second. First, I'm Brian Knight. I am not Bobby Durkins, at least not right here. If you're brand new here, hey, welcome. I appreciate you joining me. I know it's kind of difficult to tell who I pull for and stuff, but I'm even hard on them. So anyway, if you're new here, subscribe. Hit the subscribe button and turn on the notifications and go from there. So I really do appreciate you being here. Now, the college football playoff expansion has been a hot topic for several years. We've had this going on, desires of the college football community. And overall, we were told it can't be done. I'll get to that in just a second, but let's talk about the actual schedule. Sooner History just got in here live. Yes, I don't broadcast this live or this early. See, got a ton of coffee right here. All right, so let's dive into the schedule. So at the end of the 2024 season, so not this coming season, which is 2023, the next season, okay? On Friday, December the 20th, we're going to have one game. As of right now, it's going to be a not game. Then the very next day, it's a Saturday, December the 21st, 3 games, early noon, late afternoon, and evening. Then we're going to go move out about 10 days later to Tuesday, December the 31st, New Year's Eve. They'll play the Fiesta Bowl in the evening. And then the very next day, New Year's Day, Wednesday, January the 1st, the Peach Bowl early afternoon, Rose Bowl late afternoon, and Sugar Bowl that evening. Then we move out about 8 days to Thursday, January the 9th. We'll play the Orange Bowl that evening. You'll have Friday, January the 10th. We'll play the Cotton Bowl that evening. And then that's the semifinals. So whoever wins those games, get into the national championship, then you'll play the College Football National Championship on Monday, January the 20th at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, Georgia. So we finally got it. We finally got the college football playoff. It's nice to see that schedule given to us. It's nice to see that the college football playoff expanded. I wanted 8 teams, but I will take 12 if that's all. If they want to overcorrect, go for it. I'll take it. I wanted 8 teams. You remember, for anybody here, I'm 40, so if you're in the 40-year-old range, you're around my age. You remember the days when number 1 could play number 4 and number 4 could win and become the national champion. Or number 4 could beat number 1, but number 2 beat number 3 playing somewhere else, or number 2 beat number 5 and number 2 is now the national champions. I remember that. I remember when the BCS championship was based on computer data and a conglomerate score, and everybody was pissed about that. But you finally got number 1 versus number 2. It was just how number 1 and number 2 came to be. We never thought that we would get to a 4-team playoff, and I'm thankful for that. I am glad that we're now sitting at, even if they overcorrected, in my opinion, number 1, and through 12. And I know there's going to be some rest games it's basically play-in games. So your top seeds are not playing, from what I can remember right off the top of my head. Forgive me if I'm wrong there. But Dwayne Wicker's in here bright and early. It's good to see. Yes, the coffee. I brewed the coffee. Said it last night and woke up much earlier than what I thought. Sooner History, glad you're in here. Said it is interesting. Jonathan Benton said, this is a lot of extra money to go to all these games. I'm wondering if attendance will become an issue. I don't think so. I don't think so. And I'll dive into that in just a second. But we're at the 4-minute and 30-second mark of this video. And I'm going to try to limit myself to a rant here. But I'm going to complain. All right. I'm going to complain. I've already said a lot of nice things that I'm glad that the playoff expansion is going to be here. I'll address the potential beatdowns that will happen because you have, some teams get in there probably shouldn't be in there. But I'm going to say this, and I'm going to start now at the 5-minute mark. We know what took so long to get this done. This was the right thing to do a long time ago. We know what it was. It was contracts that had been signed. It was conferences who wouldn't agree to this. It was other people. I don't even know their position. All I know is they're big money people. I know that there are people who has a lot to do with college football behind the scenes. And they were saying that this could not be done. Now, folks, I'm going to tell you straight up. One of the things I cannot stand is for someone to lie to me and play off like there's no other truth in the world. You have to understand, Brian, the hillbilly doesn't get it. No, it's almost as though they thought and even still think that we never noticed that division right below Division 1, Division 1A, okay? I know everybody calls it FCS, but I still call it Division 1, 2, 1AA. I'm dedicated to that. They've had a playoff for years. Well, that's because there's there's smaller schools, and that was a dumb. How about you just tell us the truth up front? How about you just tell us, look, there's too many contracts involved right now. The Rose Bowl delayed this decision, folks. We all know that. The granddaddy of them all. You can hear Keith Jackson saying it. But contracts and people who wanted to have their little say delayed this. And us fans are sitting here having to watch this entire debacle going, look, can we just get down to business? And if you're going to delay it, just tell us the truth. Look, the Rose Bowl says that they just want January 1st so much that they don't care. Or in years past, well, you have to understand we've signed a bunch of contracts, and I know people have talked about that in passing, but but the thing that was sold to us was this would just be too much travel for people. Dude, I know people. I know a gentleman right now I go to church with. He's a Tennessee fan. He lives here in the upstate of South Carolina. Okay. He went to every Tennessee game last year, including the bowl game. So the inexpensive games that were cheap, that you could buy the tickets the day of, all the way to the Alabama game. Can you know how much that cost? Him and his son went to every game, went to LSU, all this bunch of stuff. People are going to pay to go to these games. This is going to be a big money game. You want to talk about revenue for marketing and advertisement? People are going to make money, just unbelievable amounts of money. I just don't believe that people realizes the economic impact of this. Yet they were telling us, trying to keep us away from the original truth, that this couldn't be done. This just can't be done. Now it's done. What happened? I'll tell you what happened. People who were disagreeing to go into this whole thing, who was disagreeing or would not yield and say, hey, look, we'll work with the schedule. We'll work with the changes. Let's just make college football better. How about you tell us that? You know why? Because someone would have been the bad guy. And it's probably an important group of people who, listen, we're going to be the bad guys, but don't you dare call us the bad guys, because if we're the bad guys, we're going to make your life a living hell. We will do it. We will pull funding. We will pull this. That's what went down. Now it's done great. Dwayne Wicker, you are 100% right. FCS schools travel for playoffs while having less money than D1 schools have. You're right. Boom. You just said it. Quiet part out loud. Okay. So let's talk about something that is off that. All right. But it's still talking about the college football playoff. One of the rebuttals that I've heard, can you imagine a number 1 seed playing a number 12 seed? The butt whipping that would happen. Well, I'm not a massive college basketball fan. I will tell you, I'm one of those guys that I pick and choose certain games to watch here and there if it piques my interest. And then the closer I get to the tournament, especially when March Madness starts, I bandwagon it. I get on that bandwagon. I watch what I want to watch. I enjoy the tickers at the top of the screen that shows games that are going on that I might be more interested in than the one that I'm watching. It's one of the beautiful things about March Madness. Why is it that we can remember Farley Dickinson beating, I can't even remember who that beat, but in the first round, beating a number 1 seed? It's because it's a big deal. Okay, now a 12 seed playing a number 1 seed in college football, okay, that's still almost a top 10 matchup. If that was during the regular season, and let's just say that team got hot and they got to number 12, maybe they stumbled early in the season, but man, they got hot. We as college football fans have been looking forward to this for years. Let's not kick ourselves in the stomach and wonder why we're doubled over, about to throw up and losing our mind. We have been wanting this. This gives those teams who got hot later on in the season the chance to get in. Now, I know I just said that I wanted 8 teams, and I think they overcorrected. But to even rebut myself, we have seen teams in the past that you were like, man, I'll tell you, they are so hot right now. If they were to get into just a big game, I think they could go toe-to-toe with anyone else. Now, are we going to see some beatdowns? Of course we are. We saw a beatdown in the national championship. The real national championship was between Georgia and Ohio State. Ohio State playing basically the entire game without their 2-star wide receivers. Still went down to the wire. That was the national championship, folks. National championship was not Georgia and TCU. It was Georgia and Ohio State. But at the same time, TCU had done all the right things to get there. What we saw there that night does not happen that often. That's why when it does happen, them beating the crap out of TCU, or Georgia beating the crap out of TCU, Clemson beating the crap out of Alabama. Back in 1996, 1995, you had Nebraska beating Florida, 62-34, something like that. That doesn't happen all the time. You notice I remember those games. Why? It's because that doesn't happen a lot in the national championship. In the college football playoff, we're going to see some beatdowns. Folks, in the 4-team playoff system, we've already seen some beatdowns. Clemson was one of them. Clemson beat Ohio State. This was the first year Clemson won a national championship with Deshaun Watson. Now, let me stop right there and say, I know Clemson won a national championship in 1981. First year that they won it, and it was with Deshaun Watson. So I want all my Tiger fans who's going to go over to TigerNet, and you're going to take a clip of this video and go, I told you that idiot doesn't know this team. Bandwagoner. All this bunch of stuff. But the first one in Common Era, you want to do that? The first round played Ohio State, beat them 31-0. And I remember Joey Galloway before that game. I loved it because Joey may be a great guy in real life, but he comes off really smug. I have no clue if he's a great guy, if he's a nice guy, if he's an in-between guy. I'll leave that to him. But he came up, I'll never forget, he was asked, does Clemson stand a chance in this game or something along those lines? And he goes, no, they don't. 31-0 later. Yes, they did. You remember those games. There have been blowouts. Bama has beat the crap out of especially either Pac-12 or Big 12 teams. So there's already been some upsets. But we also know that there's been some teams who's been left outside at number 5 or number 6 who probably were a little better than 3 and 4 and sometimes 2. But because of a late season upset, they were left out. And you go, all right, Brian, that's just how the cookie crumbles. Well, now the cookie has a new set of rules. So if you're at number 13, I hate to tell you, used to you would have to make up about 9 spots as to where 1 spot. This is a very this the net has been expanded. It's a wide cast, my friends. Yes, Sooner history. That was with Tommy Frazier at quarterback for Nebraska. I still think maybe the greatest team to ever play college football. My Tiger fans are losing it. LSU fans are losing. You mean Joe Burrow? Of course, Georgia fans 65-7. Are you kidding me? No. Tommy, that team with Tommy Frazier, 2001 Canes, man. When they wasn't murdering people on the street, they were murdering people on the field. I'm sorry, I can't pass that up, y'all. Oh my God, that's so much. That's so much fun. But we are going to see some blowouts. We're going to see some blowouts. We see blowouts in the regular season, folks. We do. We see blowouts in the regular season. We see teams. I hate to say it, Clemson went up to Notre Dame, played a very average Notre Dame team, got beat by 3 touchdowns. Infamously, Nick Eason went over to Dabo Swinney and said, "You're going to have to do something about the offense." Nick was right. Well, we did it. I got to tell y'all this. I had someone reach out to me. I get a lot of comments, and then I get private comments. I get private comments sent to me. And then I have public comments or replies or questions sent to me. And I had someone send me a message, and hey, it's fine. I get on here. When you put yourself in front of a camera, even though it's in your bonus room with the popcorn ceiling, and there's that spot everybody likes to point out that when I painted the room, I never touched up. You're right. My wife wished I would touch up that as well. You open yourself up to criticism. Everything from my hair. Someone recently said something about my hair. Some stuff is just funny. Some stuff people are just absolutely. You wonder why society's going to hell in a handbasket. It's like, what is wrong with you? But anyway, I had someone reach out to me and they asked me, they said, there's a lot of Monday morning quarterbacks, but if you were in charge of Clemson, it was something along the lines of, what plan would you implement? And the wording that he said that he used was almost like someone had put him up to it, or this is something that he heard someone say to reply to someone who criticizes a particular system. Oh, so if you hear someone who's always critiquing something, shut them up by asking them this question. He asked me that question. And normally I don't take the time to respond in that long of a response because I have a life. And once again, I'm a man in his bonus room who does things when anytime that I can. I do some videos when I can. This morning I felt like doing a video at 6:45. Yep. But he asked me this question. This is what he asked me that question. What plan would you implement? Like I was going to be like, oh no, somebody asked me that question. I just wanted to sit here in my room and say a bunch of stuff. I wrote about 6 good paragraphs, if not more, of in detail, just scratching the surface of what I would have fixed if I was Sweeney. If you go search through some of my comments in one of my recent videos, you'll see that small novel I wrote, and it was in detail. And the overall theme was, because you're Clemson, you can hire the best. You can recruit the best. And if not now, then never. That's it. Okay, so talking about the college football playoff here. Sorry, went on a rant. You know me. It was squirrel moment. I have people come on here and they'll be like, listen, get to the point. I'm sorry, Marvin. In between you driving a forklift and you're taking a dump and you're watching me and you need me to get to the point. I don't know. Or in between your meeting that you probably scheduled, that you didn't have to schedule, that you're making your team come in there and I don't know, be part of the meeting just because you have to be part of the meeting. So you're the manager and you're in charge and you did that, but you need me to get to the point. So you can't. Anyway, let's just throw this out there. College football playoff is going to be a hit. It's going to be a hit. Now, as soon as I say this, it's going to go down the toilet. But I would not be shocked if in the first college football playoff, even if the favorite won the national championship, even if they won the national championship, seeing some teams fall out of the championship, get booted out in games that they were guaranteed to win because another team wanted it more. I'm going to read a couple of comments, and this relates to this. Dwayne Wicker says, imagine being a top 4 team and having to face an at-large Bama or Clemson. I'll stop you there, Dwayne, and you know, I'm a massive Clemson fan. A lot of Clemson fans, once again, are not going to like this. An at-large Alabama team, yes. An at-large Clemson team, right now at the state of Clemson football is a good football team. Clemson is not a great football team. So maybe I would put more money right now on Alabama. If Alabama's quarterback situation gets sorted out, and with the talent that they have around them and their utilization of the transfer portal and their recruiting, and yes, that 70-year-old man on the sideline who has dominated everybody for a very long time, especially if he's on the sideline, it's hard to beat them. Right now, Clemson is going through some stuff. Clemson is going through some stuff. Garrett Riley, yes, he's coming in. There's still things that has to be fixed with Clemson. Clemson can't even block up front. Clemson can't block up front. That's a problem. Yes, I hope the very best for the season. I will be going to games. I will be live streaming, talking about my Clemson Tigers. I will be pulling for them. I wish the best for them. But just being unbelievably honest, Clemson is, even with Alabama doing what they did last year, Alabama is a better football team right now, is in better state of football than Clemson is. I could see an at-large Alabama team feeling like they got slided in the top 4, or maybe feeling like they should be ranked higher. I could see them being pissed. But now, because they're not in that top 4, or now you don't have to be in the top 4, they could definitely maybe not have as much aggression, but a postseason Bama is always very, very, very tough to beat. You know, once again, it took Alabama losing both their star wide receivers in the national championship, and Georgia won that. Georgia won it. No ifs, ands, or buts. National championship. Clemson won it. I'd be like, yeah, Clemson won a national championship, and they were missing their 2-star wide receivers. Not 2 stars, is like they only have 2 stars each. I'm talking about 2 most valuable wide receivers, and they got lucky the very next year, and Marvin Harrison and Jackson and Jigma Smith, is that his name? He didn't even play the game, and then Marvin Harrison Jr. got hurt. I mean, how lucky can one team get 2 years in a row? I'm talking about 2 years in a row that the star wide receivers, 2 of them, for both consecutive teams, look, they're gone. That isn't even, oh, wow. But hey, history was good to Georgia. Well, not before the first national championship. They wasted a bunch of talent. But Tiger Paul Craven, yo, what's up, Brian? What's up, man? Glad you're here. Got 13 people in here. Thank you so much for joining me this morning. Matthew King's in here. Good to see you, my friend. So right off the top of my head, who do I think the top 4 would be next year? That's a very good question. That is a very good question, because if you step back and you look, Georgia, Bama, and Ohio State all lost their starting quarterbacks. They're gone. So no more Stetson Bennett. No more hearing about how he walked on, transferred out, and walked back on. No more C.J. Stroud. No more Bryce Young. That's a big deal. Even though these teams recruit very well, we know that Bama literally just snatched up Tyler Buchner. I mean, like a tornado ripping up a tool shed in the backyard. And we can talk about Tommy Rees being his former offensive coordinator at Notre Dame, that Tyler knows his system. Now, I know Alabama fans who are not thrilled about Tyler Buchner. They're like, no, don't bring him down here and play for us, man. Well, he's going to play quarterback for you, because so far it hasn't looked good. Let me tell you this from being a Clemson fan and having Deshaun Watson, then a middle year between Watson and Trevor Lawrence, and then after Trevor Lawrence having someone else come in that didn't fit the system. Okay. When you have once in a lifetime talent come along and play, especially quarterback for you, the next man up could just be good. They can be good, but not great. And it seems like they're terrible. Do you understand me? Let me say that again. You have a really strong guy who comes in after the Hulk. The Hulk is this fictitious character that we all know who he is, who turns green when he gets mad and blows up, but he's unbelievably strong. You could set Arnold Schwarzenegger up in his heyday of lifting after the Hulk, and the Hulk is going to make him look like Pee Wee Herman. You understand now? Do you get that picture? So Alabama is losing Bryce Young, who I believe is one of, if not the best quarterback to play for Nick Saban during this Saban-Alabama run. A.J. McCarron was not that great. He was okay. McElroy was not that great. God, what's that other quarterback? He's a black dude. Won national championship. Is it Sims? He's fantastic. He was fantastic at leading his team. But was he a world-class talent? No. The transfer guy out of Florida State. You remember the white dude? It was right after Sims. He wasn't great. Mac Jones did look good. Mac Jones did look really good. Now, I'll have to back up there. Mac Jones looked really good. I think Bryce Young, overall, is the best quarterback who's played in this Alabama run. Coker, yes, Matthew. Yes, Matthew. Matthew, do I think Georgia three-peats? No, I don't. And it's not because Bennett and other talent's gone. That's going to happen. Georgia recruits well. In all fairness to them, I pick at them and so on. And a lot of it I mean, just because of the arrogance of a lot of Georgia fans. Not all Georgia fans, but a lot of them. But the biggest arrogance I see out of Georgia is they think that Todd Monken, just because Bobo's going to run the same system, they forget that making adjustments and developing players, they forget that that's more than just running the same system as someone else. That's the magic of the individual. And Todd Monken, I think, put on one of the best shows of all time of strategy for an offense. Maybe I've ever seen. One of the best ever. One of the best ever, hands down. I won't say the best, but one of the best. But Bryce Young, going back to Bryce Young, there's no one after him that looks like him. So Notre Dame goes out and gets Tyler Buckner. Let me tell you this: or Alabama goes out and gets Tyler Buckner. If I'm Alabama fans, I'm wiping the sweat off my brow, going, at least Saban is still competitive. In Clemson, South Carolina, over the past few years, we've had to question that. Now, I know Clemson fans, we've talked about it. Dabo's made the right move now. He did this and so on. And Brian, just shut up and move on. Yes, I'll move on. Can you believe all of the eligibility that we've wasted during this time? Because Clemson could hire the best and they didn't. Saban, on the other hand, he changes coordinators about as much as a 3-year-old with a stomach virus has to change underwear, and he still wins championships. Why? Because he realizes placing the proper people around him that's the key to winning as a coach. That's my big critique of Deion Sanders. Everybody knows Deion Sanders at Colorado football. Yes, Deion was a great player. Deion was a great athlete. Deion was a freak. Deion has to remember, and he may say it in front of a microphone. A lot of people says a lot of stuff in front of a microphone, but behind closed doors, they don't mean it. Or maybe they don't get it as much as they say they do. Deion has to remember the most important persons at Colorado football is his coordinators and his position coaches. It's not Deion. It's not Deion. And that's the thing with Saban. Saban realizes that it is his job to put the very best at the proper places, the proper coaches, the proper positions, the proper play callers. I'm hoping that the ship is riding in Clemson, South Carolina. And going out and hiring Garrett Riley, that's is a great move in the direction of getting us back to where Dabo actually brought us. Ohio State, it's going to be interesting with them this year. It really is going to be interesting. But I've got to look at everyone that they've lost and who they've retained. So I won't make too many more comments there. But Georgia, I just don't see Georgia three-peating. Now, if Todd Monken was there, as much as it make me want to throw up a little bit, I would have to stop and go, maybe. Listen, coaches matter. Whoever's coaching matters. It matters. All right, folks. Well, I'm going to start wrapping this up. I'm glad the college football playoff has expanded. It should have expanded sooner. It didn't. Once again, people, egos, and contracts got in the way of just our enjoyment for college football. That's when you hear people like me harp and get mad and harp and moan and groan and you're like, man, I just wish you just listen. I'm not your inspirational book that you're going to read. I am not your inspirational book. You can go on a plethora of sites and get your little ears tickled of all the grandiose possibilities for you and your little team. I'm not being pessimistic to think that, and just thinking that makes me intelligent or something. I point out the problem and then I give you the answer to it. And the answer was the egos, contracts, and just absolute stubbornness kept us from what could be. And it has to flippin' stop. It has to stop. And this proved it. The most unintelligent rebuttal to the request for a college football playoff expansion was, we don't know how to do it. How would we pull that together The travel would be monstrous. It would be terrible. If I remember correctly, the first game of the year for Vanderbilt this year, you know who it is? Do you know? It's at Vanderbilt. It's Hawaii. Yes, Hawaii. What, 3,000 miles off the West Coast? And then you're going to have to fly another, 2,500 miles, 2,700 miles, somewhere like that. Yeah, I'm just telling you, folks, if you're going to give me a reply on why something is not happening, just tell me the flipping truth. Be honest. And maybe someone needs to be the bad guy. Maybe it needs to leak out. Yeah, hey, you know so-and-so? Yeah, you mean the big money guy who acts like he loves college football? Yeah, he does love college football, but he loves himself more. And so he's standing in the way. And he's basically dangling college football in front of us. But he said that you better not make him look like the bad guy. Let him be the bad guy. Let him feel that shame and that annoyance that he is not the wonderful person that everybody thinks that he is. And when you shame him for actually doing something that's ridiculous and actually selfish, guess what happens? He'll cave because everybody sees he's not that great of a guy. Now, did I just create a straw man argument? Yes, I did. But you know it's true. You know it exists. I just gave you an example. If you've worked in business, I don't care if you're mom and pop or Fortune 10 companies. They didn't even go Fortune 100, Fortune 10. You work for that, uh, um, you know what I'm talking about. You've dealt with it. One of the former execs, one of the largest companies in the world, said something about Larry Ellison, the owner of Oracle, one of the richest men in the world. When someone was asked about working with Larry Ellison, and this former exec said, you know, the difference between God and Larry is God doesn't think he's Larry. Think about that for a little bit. All right, folks, I'm going to let you go. Thanks for joining me early morning show. Probably not going to do this again for a very, very long time. I just couldn't sleep. But please pass this along. Please leave your comments. I try to answer as much as I possibly can. Michael Hart getting in here. It's good to see you. Yeah, you're right. Playoffs will be great. It's hard for some of the old timers. Hey, I love traditions. I really do love traditions. This is a tradition worth changing. And Tiger Too Deep says more morning shows. Well, I'll have to see what my sleep schedule is. Transparently, my son, my youngest, woke me up at about 4 a.m. this morning, and Daddy couldn't go back to sleep. So I've been up for a while. And I was like, why not do a show for some of those poor folks who need some entertainment right now, and I need to vent. So it's so good to hear, good to see y'all, hear from y'all. Tiger Too Deep said drive to work show. Hey, it's a drive to work show. And I do appreciate that. Tiger Too Deep, Sooner History. Everybody, thanks for getting in. Y'all take care of yourself. Look, college football will be here before you know it. We're already in the month of May, and you'll blink and we'll be sitting in the first week of college football, week 0. Michael Hart says, let's go feed the horses. Go feed the horses and tell them not Bobby and Bobby said, hey, y'all take care. Have a great day, and I'll catch you sometime soon.